Welcome to the Chronically Will Podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard. On this episode, you will hear from Ariel. Ariel has been pumped and on a journey, living with type 1 diabetes since the age of 12. Ariel and I had so many laughs while recording this episode. She is such a great and fun person, fueled with the passion to motivate others in their own quest in conquering type 1 diabetes. A gift of light she is. Her inspiration always starts with a higher power by her side and a bright smile on her face. In this episode, Ariel will tell you to grab a hold of yourself, even if that does mean going outside the box of traditional care and management. We are all individuals, and the way that we manage is the way that's best for us to be our best. Ariel is the self-published author of the book Pumped for My Journey. Pumped for My Journey was created to inspire and empower school-aged children living with type 1 diabetes. With this book, Ariel sets out to be the tour guide on your journey living with type 1. If you are a person living with type 1 diabetes or managing someone with type 1 diabetes, be sure to pick up a copy of Pumped for My Journey by Ariel Brown. Thank you, Ariel, for continuing to inspire the inspirer.
Yes, I would say I am a woman that's an overcomer. I am a mother. I'm a self-published author. I am an inspirational speaker. I'm a podcaster now, and I'm just someone on fire to encourage people that no matter what life throws at you, you can throw something back, and that can be something powerful. So that's who Ariel is, Pumped for My Journey.
Where are you from?
I am from Prince George, Virginia.
Prince George, Virginia.
Yes.
See, when you said Prince George, you know what I first thought of, right?
Maryland.
Yes. I did not know there was a PG.
Yes.
Is it PG County or is it PG City?
Prince George County, Virginia. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, most people say, you in Maryland? I'm like, no, I'm in Virginia.
Right, because I know that you, I saw that you were from Virginia, but I know previously I saw something that said Prince George, and I spent a lot of time in PG County, Maryland growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, because my best friend was from the DC area. He lived in PG County all over. But I guess that they were founded on or ruled by the same Prince George.
Could be. They could be cousins.
Right. Might be the same person, the way that,
Come on in.
yeah, the way things were going back when.
Yeah.
Back when we only had a breath to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how was it growing up in the area you grew up? Did you grow up in the city?
It's more like the county. So I'm the only child. So I had a lot of cousins, and my dad's a preacher. So I spent most of my time being in church, to be honest. That's where I think the inspirational speaker comes from. Seeing my father preach, and then my grandfather was a preacher. And my mom, she's not a preacher, but she's a woman of God that has spoke on several occasions too. So I guess it's just in my blood. I just didn't want to accept it back then.
Look, like I said, it wasn't something you learned.
Yes.
It was more so like instilled and embedded in you.
Most definitely.
My grandfather, I never met him before, but his name was Pastor George. He actually had his own church. He was from Virginia area.
Yeah.
Moved his family up towards the Philadelphia area in the 1960s. A lot of my aunts and uncles or ordained, have their own churches, things of that like that. So that's something that I can really relate with you, growing up with that background.
Yes.
Yeah. My dad, he actually told me, he said, I went to church 7 days a week. He said, look, he said, there was some days I wanted to go outside, and my dad was like, we got to go to church. He said, it's Thursday, Dad. But he said back then as a child, he may have felt some sort of way towards it. But now as he's grown, had his own children, have grandchildren or whatnot, like he understands those core values
Yeah.
that were placed in him early on,
Mm-hmm.
and
Most
that
definitely.
right, and you're able to share that with your own child and
Yeah.
community. Yeah, so you grew up as an only child,
Mm-hmm.
an only
Yeah.
child, but you had many cousins.
My mom is one of 10 and my dad is one of 9.
Oh, I see why your mom said only child. Yeah, yeah. I would
Yeah.
have look. You said your dad is one of how many?
It was one of 9 he was one of 9.
He was
Yeah.
one of 9. Okay.
Yeah. So I was never bored. Like I had so many cousins, but I just looking back, I appreciate the small family, me, my mom, and my dad. You know, we did everything together, go on family trips. On Fridays, we would go out to dinner. So looking back, I appreciated just that small family.
Right. So you was always able to get a big piece of the chicken.
Oh, come on in.
Look, every time I think of like big families, I think of like Crooklyn.
Yes.
And I think of like Red being forced to eat his black eyed peas and stuff like that. And thinking like, where was the meat at? Yeah, so
Yes,
yeah,
I had to fight over the chicken. It was already provided to me, so I was good.
that's great. That's great. Growing up, I'm pretty sure that you were like the best of everything for your parents.
Yeah,
Like
tried to be.
tried to be. Look,
Yeah.
I guarantee if we go back in time and ask your parents as you were growing up, that they will tell you like
Yeah.
definitely a gift from God. You know,
Yes.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that even today, your family, even your extended family,
Yeah.
truly see the blessings that you are given to the community. Because I barely know you. I know you
Yeah.
about this much in this big thing called life, and I see it, and I actually am able to see you and you actually getting staying afloat on this journey,
Yes.
because myself as a professional, I have been on many journeys in this thing called life to
Yeah.
help better community, reach people. And so many things have changed and transpired over the years. So you may start something and it doesn't go the way you
Mm-hmm.
choose, but you're pumped on it. You're pumped on this
Yeah.
journey of
Yeah.
life, and there's nothing that's going to take you away from it, because I mean, literally pumped for my journey.
Yes.
That's you. Um, your cousins growing up, were there any like in your age group?
Yeah, most definitely. It was probably like 3 or 4 of us that was very close. So I don't even call them my cousins. I call them like my brothers and sisters. And even I have older cousins that's like in their 40s and 50s that I look at as my big brothers and my big sisters. So even though I was the only child, they still had my back.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Even look, your parents may have been like, no fighting, no getting in trouble, but
Yes.
if one of them were fighting, then you better be fighting.
Yes.
Or you in trouble.
Yes.
It was like everything got reversed. Like no fighting,
Mhm.
in trouble. They
Yeah.
fighting, you not fighting, you're in trouble. Like,
Yeah.
some things our parents told us growing up was like,
Yeah.
okay, we just gotta learn from experience.
Yeah. Most
So,
definitely.
yeah, I know most of the disagreements, fights, whatever I got in growing up was nothing directed towards me, but it was like
Mhm.
my cousins, my
Yes.
sister. Like my sister talking about some boy throwing rocks at her at the park, and she's 3 years older than me.
What can work?
Throw on my cape. I'm like, I'm there.
I'm on the way.
Look, and she's 3 years older than me. The boys may
Yeah.
have been older than her.
But you're okay. That's your sister.
Exactly, and it's like that to this day. My sister
Yeah.
is 40 some years old, and I'm
Mm.
still there for her equally the same.
Yes.
Right, that's how we gotta be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What's your family? Do you know much about your family's like background, history? Like, are they all from that Virginia area, or like I know
Mm,
many people that live in the Virginia area. If you go
yeah,
back and trace your ancestry, you'll see that they came through like the Isles of like Gordy Island in Africa.
yeah. See, I at one point I was trying to research like where we came from, but I got sidetracked. But I know my dad's family, everybody came from North Carolina. But as far as my grandmother's side, a lot of them, from what I know, is Prince George. I don't really know too much. Look, don't send me on the assignment there trying to figure out where we come from.
Look, I'm going to send you on that assignment, and it's going to be an assignment of life because fall 2022, my brother and I, pandemic, we doing everything, even though it was
Yeah.
like towards the tail end.
Hmm.
But we went on ancestry.com
Yeah.
and researched our family because we don't go further back than our grandparents, really.
Yeah.
Never met my mom's grandparents, um, my mom's grandma maternal. She passed in 1954, 3 years or 5 years before my mom was born.
Yeah.
And just going back and looking at her death certificate gave me so much like hope for the future and for the present, and helped like and it basically like cemented what I was doing in this community.
Yeah.
Because she passed in 1954 after 2 weeks of being ill. She had lost tons of weight. February 19th, 1954. I mean, January 19th, 1954, until February 2nd, 1954. So 2 weeks. She lost tons of weight. They said all they ever knew was that she passed from, um, they said that she felt real sick in her stomach and she lost a lot of weight.
Mm.
Come to read her death certificate, it says death due to acidosis.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that link, it's there.
And I started an account with Ancestry, and I stopped. But now this might be a sign that I need to figure out, because it is interesting to see where you come from, like that history.
Yeah, and ancestry.com. If any of your people listen to this, I would definitely like some sponsorship because I'm doing whatever and everything
Yeah.
to promote us. Like
Hmm.
serious, because
Yeah.
we stand in the front line when it comes to like cultural things, the climate,
Mhm.
even around the world.
Yeah.
Even today, like everything is highly influenced by a culture I grew up with, hip hop. Like you
Yeah.
can't find anything from the church
Mhm.
to uh back on a ranch, wherever. Like
Yeah.
everything is influenced by hip hop.
Yeah.
So yeah, ancestry.com, like I
Mhm.
said, we're here.
um, Now that you said it, I will make myself a note. And the next time we talk, I will tell you I did my research.
Okay,
I
okay.
will leave it right there.
Look, and not only, I mean, I found out like that I had great grandfathers that fought in World War II.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think I had one that fought in the Civil War.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know these things.
Yeah.
And if we know those things growing up, especially like young kids, if we're to know this history about our family as we grow up, it would give us or gift us more concrete like advice roles in our lives. Like we know what our background is. We know
Hmm.
what we're built from. We know the foundation. So
Yeah.
we be able to take that ball and roll with it.
Hmm.
Because all of us that are here in these United States,
Yeah.
if you're a black and brown culture descent, you have some royalty in your blood. You
Yes.
do. Some true leaders that fought and built this country up.
Yeah. And that's even good for my daughter to know like where she comes from, because she needs to know her history just like her mother need to know her history. So that's something that we're gonna work on. That's gonna be a project that I can work on with her, so we can learn about history together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a,
So
I'm
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right then.
Like you said, what are some of your passions?
To be honest, you're gonna be looking at me like, wait, my passion is like literally first and foremost God. Because I realized that I can't do anything without God. So my passion is growing to have a deeper relationship with God. Um,
Serving.
yes, most definitely. My other passion is family, like being Kalea's mom and my family. Like family is passion to me, like spending time with family, letting family know like you mean something to me. And I can honestly say Pump for My Journey is my passion. Like it's something about Pump for My Journey. It lifts my spirit because it's not all about me. It's about me serving others. So all three of those that I just said, God, family, Pump for My Journey, my passion is to serve. Like I was always taught, before you can eat, you have to serve others. So I live at it. So I would say that's my passion, those three.
Right. Oh, yeah, I like what you just said. Before you eat, you
Mm.
have to serve
Yeah.
others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's nothing more literal than that. Like
Yeah.
that's truth in the wording.
Mm-hmm.
And also you got to learn what you're serving,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, it comes full circle to that big plate of food that we all want.
Yes.
Yeah. So, family is everything, right?
Yeah.
Without family, nothing is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only
Yeah.
it's God, family in that order,
Yeah.
and often they come one and one
Mm-hmm.
because you know your family is backed by God.
Yes.
Yep, yep, yep. And I grew up the same exact way. You said you have a daughter. Your daughter, did you say 12? No,
Yes.
you said 12.
She's
Okay.
12. Mm-hmm.
Okay. 12 years. My daughter's 13.
Okay. They not too far apart from each other.
Right, right. You know, the
And look, I
the
can't call her
adolescents are
little
here.
girl anymore. I have to call her, she's a preteen now. So that little girl had to be cut off and added preteen. So she always reminds me, Mommy, I'm a preteen now. I'm like, okay, I gotta take time saying it.
Right. Look, I still call my daughter little girl. Look, that's my little girl. Like she gonna always be my little girl.
Yes.
Look, my boys are so my daughter's 13, my oldest
Mm-hmm.
son is 15, and my youngest son is 10.
Yeah.
But she knows, and I'll tell her in front of them boys, like, you're my best friend. Look, I'm serious. As a
Yeah.
man, as a
Mm.
father, I
Yeah.
have to make sure like that relationship stays tighter and stronger
Most
than
definitely.
anything. Because my
Yeah.
boys are going to naturally like grasp onto the things that I do. If
Mm-hmm.
they see me grabbing a wrench, move like
Yeah.
taking off a tire, doing whatever, taking
Mm-hmm.
out the garbage, they're going to naturally grasp
Yeah.
like do that. But my little girl,
Yeah.
it's a little different, you
It's
know?
different. Yes, most definitely.
Different. So, from day one,
Yes.
since she was 2 years old, we did the
Mm.
daddy and daughter dances.
Yeah.
Took her to her first Valentine's dance when she was
Mm-hmm.
7.
Yeah.
Even today, like I coach her middle school track team. Like,
Yes. You have to be active. You have to, because we live in a world right now that's trying to change our little girls and change our boys. So it
mhm.
starts with mom, it starts with dad, because if you don't teach them and you don't show them, the world will. So we are doing the right thing by our children. And we have to encourage others that have children. Hey, you got to let them know you're doing this right, you're doing that wrong. Praise your child. Tell your child you're doing a good job, because a lot of adults did not hear that growing up. So we have to create something new for our children so they can one day pass it on to the next generation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You said that. You said praise your child. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as we teach our own children,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to school with learning and growing up with other children that
Yes.
the um might not have the family structure that
Mm-hmm.
our children have.
Yes.
So their friends are going to naturally learn from them.
Yes.
just by us educating and showing them the ways of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I need my daughter to link up with your daughter.
Come on now.
Look, next time we take a trip down Virginia.
Yeah.
It's Prince George. Is that like where is that in Virginia? What is that close? It's closest to North Carolina.
So you've heard of Richmond, right?
Yeah, I know Richmond.
It's probably like 20 minutes away from Richmond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you're gonna ask if I heard of Richmond. Who hasn't? I was like,
Because if I start naming Colonia Heights and Petersburg, people like,
okay,
what?
yeah.
I just say Richmond.
No, if you like Richmond, Hampton, like those types of things, or you could just say like bad news, like yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up, did your family do a lot of traveling?
Oh, most definitely. Like so my dad worked he's a retired mail carrier. So every summer we would take a summer vacation, even like little weekend trips. So that's something big that my mom and dad have always wanted to do, travel. Like I got to travel to see family that lived in New York and California, Chicago. So that's the stuff that I pass on with Kalia. I make sure she has a summer vacation. I make sure that we can do like weekend trips because those are the memories, not giving me, putting money in my hand and not buying me stuff, actually spending quality time. So that's something that my parents have always instilled in me. Spend time with family. It's about the quality. Not how much I'm putting in your hand, not how much I'm buying you. It's about spending that quality time with each other. So we just went to Disney World last summer. So I think we're going back again this summer.
I'm about to say, what you going to do this summer? France?
I mean, it's like they have always, ever since I was a little girl, my first trip was to New York on a train at 6 months old. So we've been doing this traveling for a long time.
So you're an only child and your daughter's an only child?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you knew what to do. and she's probably over the years, she's probably like, Mom, I want a sister, a little, and you probably like, if you know what I had growing up.
But she likes being an only child. The only thing she says she wants is a dog.
A dog.
That's okay. I can get you a dog one day.
One day. Not today.
One day.
Look. I mean, considering the trips and the vacations you got to keep upping, you might want to this summer you're getting a dog.
So we shall see. The dog might be in the future. Right, I don't know if it'll be in a couple of months, but in the future.
Okay. You know that when you mentioned that your father being a mail carrier and y'all traveling all around and going different places, I had a visual in my head and I wrote it down. It's funny. I said, okay, Ariel's a little lucky. You remember me, a little lucky? Yeah, I wrote it down and I circled it. I said, I gotta remember that one. Yeah, she's literally little lucky. Huh.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Look, that's great though. That's great that you were able to get the experience of travel growing up, because a lot of kids that I see today, like kids that look like us, they don't get that experience. So when they reach like the adolescent years and then the teenage years, going into young adulthood, a lot of them don't even think about like venturing out, even if that means just for like going to school, like going away. Like I always tell people that you're in the US, the United States of America. There's so many opportunities out there, so many different places you can venture to.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to hop off of your stoop. Look beyond the front pane glass door of your house. Because some kids growing up, like when they look out their front door, all they see is a liquor store, a corner store, whatever's going on around, like down the street, whatever. But you got to be able to think beyond that front door.
Mm-hmm.
Try to visualize a place or path you want to be on in life. Hop on that path and continue on that journey.
Yeah.
Yes. So journey. We said we mentioned it. Pump for my journey.
Mm-hmm.
This is your opportunity to give to us your second child.
Mm-hmm.
Pumped for my journey. I've been following you for a minute now, and I don't think there's been a week that's gone by when you haven't mentioned pumped for my journey. And I can tell how passionate you are about this and how much it needs to be seen, needs to be recognized, needs to be at the forefront of a lot of things that are occurring today. Because Pump for My Journey, I know it tells the story of a little girl that came along during your lifetime, your lifespan, but it also helps other people beyond living with chronic health conditions being pumped for their journey, being motivated to do the things that they truly want to do in life, and not as many do, just fall victim to whatever is a product, becoming a product of their environment. Being pumped for your journey is just, I mean, really just motivation in general. So how did you come about pumped for my journey?
I will say this: don't make me cry out here, because you speaking things that God has spoke to me when He was trying to get me to write "Pump for My Journey," and I ignored Him because literally growing up, I never saw myself as Pump for My Journey. The person that you see right now, I never could see her. I always saw myself as working with children with diabetes, being a pediatrician or nurse practitioner, but I never saw myself create my own lane. And Pump for My Journey is literally my baby. Like I tell Khalil all the time, you're my baby, and Pump for My Journey is my baby too, because
I
it's
see
my
it.
yes, it's my testimony. Pump for My Journey comes from a girl that had low self-esteem, a girl that did not like herself, a girl that wanted to hide in and blend in with others, a girl that tried to commit suicide at 17 years old. It was a girl that went through a dark period in her life, but God gave me Pump for My Journey because it's my testimony. It's a way for me to give back to children that are living with diabetes. And like you said, it's not just children now. God has led adults to me, senior citizens. It's like God is opening door for Pump for My Journey to reach all different ages of people. And Pump for My Journey is just a way to give back to people, because growing up, I didn't see Pump for My Journey. I didn't see somebody coming to the school and telling me, hey, I wrote this book for you. Oh, if you need me, I'm here. I didn't see that. In the doctor's office, I saw the doctor telling me this is how we're going to change your insulin and this is what we're going to do. But I didn't have anybody say, hey, this is a book for you. I wrote it for you. The only person that I can see that did that for me was my diabetes educator, because I was so depressed that the doctor was ready to put me on anxiety medication. And he said, before I put you on that, you need to go see your you need to go see your diabetes educator. And I told the diabetes educator, I said, I'm tired of this. And she pulled out a pump and she says, I have the same thing you have. Mm-hmm. That woman changed my life. I didn't have to go. I've had diabetes for 21 years and I've never been placed on anxiety medication, because God worked through that woman to touch my life. And me and that diabetes educator, we're still close to this day. And what she did for me, God said, I'm going to use you. But I told God, you're not going to use me, because I don't want to speak in front of everybody. I don't want to use my voice. I don't want to be different. I want to blend in. But Pump for My Journey has allowed me to be bold. I have this crazy faith where if God tell me that I can do it and I put my hands on it, I know it will prosper. And I can't be ashamed about my relationship with God either. Some people might tell me, you talk about God too much. You do this. Well, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. because I should have been dead a long time ago. But I feel like Pump for My Journey is a way to tell people you can live, you can survive. Like, if I can make it, you can make it. And what people see is the realness of me. And I have nothing to be ashamed of with my story, because the story has literally filled the pages of my book. And I told God when I wrote Pump for My Journey, I said, don't let it collect dust. When I got my first proof, I went to my parents' house. I told my dad to get his holy oil. I told my dad to anoint this book. And me and my mom and my dad and my daughter held hands. And I told my dad to pray over this book. That way, when somebody touched the book, they're going to be changed. Whether if they're looking for a change or they're not looking for a change, that book got the power of God on it. And literally, God has not allowed that book to collect dust. And I went through, I think it was in November, I went through a dark period with Pump for My Journey. Because, the devil can play with your mind, like, you doing this stuff and is it really working? And I was almost ready to walk away from Pump for My Journey, because I'm like, maybe God has used me enough. And I had to go through the wilderness. And God said, I'm taking you through that because greater is coming in 2024. And everything that I've been experiencing in 2024, I didn't ask for it. Like my daddy said, when you reap it, you will sow it. And when you put in the work, you're going to see the results. And think about if I had given up, and me and you wouldn't be talking right there. The other stuff that I've been able to do. But it's like, you got to push through the darkness. You got to push through the wilderness, because once you get through the wilderness, you're going to see a valley that has nothing but blessings and people that you can meet. So Pump for My Journey is literally my testimony that I'm not finished yet, and I'm ready for whatever God has next for me.
Well, thank you for that testimony.
You're welcome.
Many people who don't know you, don't know me in general, will get the opportunity to play this back on repeat and share it, and they'll be able to hear the message that you put across. And that message didn't come from anything, but it was sent to you. It was sent to you from a greater power to be able to share that with community, share that with everyone that you come across. People that just place their hands on the book are going to get the message. You know that?
Yeah.
They're truly going to get it. I speak highly about invoking the spirit, and that's what you're doing. You're bringing things out that people don't even know that they need within this journey.
Yeah.
So I commend you on doing those things and being able to sit down today and own your story.
Yeah.
You own it. You did not let the trials or tribulations dictate who you are today.
Yeah.
Because I know, having worked as a trauma therapist, there are many dark nights, dark days that many of us have been through.
Yeah.
But we know, from a professional stance, I want to tell you this, we know, and I want to be able to better share this with others by them seeing someone like yourself, that there is light. Even on the darkest days, there's light.
Yeah.
It peers through, peeks through at times when you don't expect it, and it'll lift you up. It could be the darkest days in November, but come December, even on the coldest days, it's going to show light.
And I told you, don't make me cry on here, because I mean, just the like I said, even to be on a platform where somebody is giving me a chance to share my story, because it was tough. Like, Pump for My Journey is on my shirt right now, but I had to work for this. Like, you have to realize that anything God gives you, He can give you the vision, but He's not going to show you what you got to go through to get the vision until you're walking in it. And literally, my blood, sweat, and tears went into Pump for My Journey. And if I had listened to man tell me, I don't think that book's going to work, I don't think that book has emotion, I don't think this, I don't think that, I used to have those phone calls with my dad, and he said, well, what did God tell you to do? And he said, write the book. He said, okay, it does not matter what you go through. You have to just realize that wherever God is calling you, you got to move because he's right there with you. He's already gone before you. So you just have to, if he's telling you to follow him, you just got to follow him and trust that he's leading you. Yeah.
Like, how did Ariel handle diabetes for all those years?
Yeah.
Like, how?
I tell you, it's literally nothing but God and having parents to just tell me. My parents knew God, but I didn't know God. And to have that relationship with God. And I feel like in sixth grade and seventh grade was middle school. Mm-hmm. So I was in the sixth grade the summer. Then I had to go back to that same school, but I felt like a different child. When my sugars would get low, I had to have somebody walk me to the clinic. Can we get somebody to walk Ariel to the clinic? It was embarrassing. I had to sit in the class and eat Rice Krispie treats. I had to sit in the class and eat Gushers. Even to this day, when I look at Rice Krispie treats, I go back to that 12-year-old girl. And people didn't understand it. Why can Ariel have a snack? Why can she eat in the class? Why does she need somebody to walk with her to the clinic? And to sit in that clinic and feel so alone, I went through a dark period. But I look at my book now is in the middle school that I went to. Mm-hmm. But the book now is in the junior high that I went to. The book is now in the high school that I went to. Because before the world could get that book, I had to send it back home. So mm-hmm. My book is in the clinic. My book is in the library. My book is in the guidance counselor office. And I'm putting it places that Ariel used to be because mm-hmm. There's some Ariels there now. Right. You have to know that I sat in that seat. I know how mm-hmm. It feels. But this is the roadmap, and I'm giving it to you, and we're going to take it together.
Right. And even people who aren't living with diabetes, mm-hmm. they may be able to pick up that book and read through it and like, oh, wow. And mm-hmm. give them information that they didn't know existed. Yeah. So if ever an Ariel is sitting there, mm-hmm. they won't ask that Ariel those same questions.
Yeah.
Why are you eating Rice Krispie treats? Why are you going to the clinic? Why so many whys for, like I said, that 12-year-old girl? All we needed for that 12-year-old girl was to be able to dream. Mm-hmm. Dream, be able to accomplish everything that other 12-year-olds are able to accomplish in this life. Because that 12-year-old girl, today she's living a prosperous life. But like you said, there were dark days for that 12-year-old girl. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've watched the movies, and the movies show like those are the absolute best times of a child's life. Yeah. That was your coming of age story. Like if ever there was a movie such as, let's say, like The Wood, and you insert Michael with mm-hmm. diabetes.
Yeah.
That would change the entire scope of that film.
Yeah.
The number one thing would be on people's mind was like, how did Michael handle that diabetes?
Mm-hmm. Like you said, those are some of the best years of your life, those numbers that you just called off. And I think back to my 14-year-old self, my face started breaking out real bad. I had to start wearing makeup. So that dealt with my low self-esteem, my low self-confidence in myself. 17 years old, I tried to commit suicide because I was tired of life. I didn't want to live on. I didn't see a future. I didn't see Kalia. I didn't see Pump for my journey. But literally, God took what the devil meant for evil and he turned it for my good. And like you said, we have to share our story to let people know I experienced that. But I experienced so you would know that you can make it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that when living with diabetes and having to manage with man-made insulin mm-hmm. and the roller coasters of blood sugars, they also equate to altered minds.
Yeah.
So when your blood sugar is high, your mind isn't fully focused. Mm-hmm. When your blood sugar is low, equally not able to focus or comprehend things. Mm-hmm. So just growing up with those things in general, and not even knowing
Yeah.
that diabetes was affecting us in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's another dark cloud,
Yes.
because if we knew those things, like I said, if we were gifted the therapeutic measures to be our best, we would have been able to address them.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times, excuse me, we see online and where people who are living with diabetes, or like there's a such thing as burnout.
Yeah.
But there's people who go through a burnout where they like, I don't care, diabetes is the worst. And you can just see that from afar, and you're like, someone needs to touch that person. Someone needs to reach that person and motivate them that you will.
Yes.
Like the things that are in front of you that you're faced with today are just temporary.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is a brighter day. Like we like I said, we need you. We need people who have lived through this experience, because I know that when I was diagnosed, I didn't have anyone. Like, I don't even remember, like, they didn't tell me directly, like, you have type 1 diabetes. They just like, you have diabetes. So even from the start, like, on a management point, you know that if people were told from the start you have type 1 diabetes, there's a different type of management. I mean, take no chronic health. I wouldn't wish any chronic health condition upon anyone, but there are different ways in managing to the best so that you can be your most optimal physically and mentally. So if you were gifted those things at 12 years old, 18-year-old Ariel wouldn't have, or 17-year-old Ariel wouldn't have went through the tragedy that did occur. And they say in life we should never wish like to alter or change the things that have occurred. But you have a strength behind you, a strength that uplifts you, and that strength I know was there for you during those times. And there's no way that that was a part of that was not a part of the plan. Would occur to 17-year-old Ariel. It was not a part of the plan. So that's why God helped you pick up those pieces and move forward with life.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. That's where the name came from, Pump for My Journey. After I wrote the book, I said, it took me 3 hours to write the book. And after I wrote it, I said, God, what do I name it? And he said, you remember when you were 17 years old and you tried to commit suicide with your insulin pump? And you pumped so much insulin in your body, it never touched you. He said, what you use to kill yourself is going to push you to your purpose. And that's Pump for My Journey.
So it was, I've heard of this before. And that was before they had like max bolus, is because all insulin pumps have that on them now, where there's a max. I don't expect for you to take me through a full journey of that, but what brought you to that point at that time?
I think just being 17 years old and just, like I said, I knew God, but I didn't have that relationship with him. And I just was tired of life. And I just thought that I have this attached to me. I'm going to pump so much insulin in my body. And I would literally pump so much insulin in my body, wake up, like go to sleep. God, don't let me wake up. Next morning I wake up. And the insulin never touched me. And God said, I use that because that's literally what push you to your purpose. So every time I see pumped on my shirt, I'm like, okay, God, like I'm pumped for this, because it's not just, my story is not just about diabetes. It's about a suicide attempt survivor, because we have people out here that's trying to commit suicide. We have people out here that have lost their lives to suicide. And I have to be a voice for those people that are no longer here, to let them know you got to live like you have a future. You have to live like your life has meaning. And we can't judge people based on what they do. Only thing we can do is pray for people and be there to support them. So if God allowed me to survive it, I can't keep my mouth quiet and tell people that I'm not going to share my story. I'm not going to share what I did. I have to share it because people have to know life has a sunshine on the other side. Like there's a rainbow at the end of the thunderstorm. Like God has greater for you than what you're dealing with right now.
Right, right. Like like you said, there's that rainbow is there and it's in reach.
Yeah.
It's in reach. It may not be physically these multicolors, but that rainbow could be any and everything that you seek to reach in life. Growing up, relationships as a kid, did diabetes affect you in relationships with like friends and peers?
I really didn't talk. I mean, my friends knew I had diabetes, but I really didn't talk about it because when we would go out to eat after basketball games, I would have to sit there and, I got to check my blood sugar. So I would sit on, like, be at the table and check my blood sugar under the table, or giving myself injections, having to go to the bathroom. So I had friends, but I felt alone because nobody could relate to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just stopped talking about it. I didn't want to feel different. I just blended in with everybody else.
It's funny how during times, and everyone I know who's managed from like they're on their own has gone through this, where diabetes to other people, to your peers and people around you, may just seem like almost like a medication that you take and you're fixed type of thing. Yeah. Or every poke of a needle is like a Band-Aid. Yeah. Every time you check your blood sugar is the similar thing. So they more than likely just said, oh, it's just something that Ariel has. Yeah. And Ariel manages it and takes care of it. So it's not something that I need to input myself into.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've come across many young ladies that were diagnosed at that age, 12, 13. Yeah. And every single one of them I've come across have said that they managed on their own from day one. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's a lot to manage a chronic health condition. How do you do it? How do we do it? We just do it.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that there's no other option. Living with type 1 diabetes for the last 21 years. And we mentioned how some people see it and they question like why or how someone at 12 years old got diagnosed. How or why did a 12-year-old have to take this big blunt of management on her own? How or why did you even survive it? People ask, how can you take needles?
Yeah.
How can you finger stick yourself? We do it because we have to, but really, I remember when I was younger and people asked things like that, I'd just be like, I would say things like, how do you give needles?
Yeah. Yeah.
When they ask how, it's like there's an option.
Mm-hmm.
There is no option to living with this chronic health condition. Yeah. Because we want to be able to do everything we want to do in life. Put me on a diabetes cereal box.
Come on now.
like for real. And the prize inside is an Omnipod or Dexcom. like I know, like with family, they truly don't understand. Why do I talk about it so much? It's more so because of the stigma that has been placed on diabetes. As we said, like it's so much of a stigma that's been placed upon it, and we just need to tear that apart. Because everything I do is to uplift and motivate my people first. But there's a community, a diabetic online community where I do consider everyone family, no matter your race, religion, creed, like wherever you come from. Because I know what my background is.
Mm-hmm.
I know who motivates me who keeps me motivated and things of that nature. I say all of that to say to you, because everything's been like, that's all about diabetes, but what will you do on the day that a cure is here?
What would I do? I'll probably just, to be honest, I don't even really know what I do. I would just be happy, just a relief of just finally.
Been living with this for 21 years. You think you think I haven't thought about different things? Come on now. Come on. That's like to me, that's like a dry stand-up. Like you go to a stand-up show and you're like, y'all laughing at this? Like, that is funny. So dry. Like, people been talking about that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like waiting for the Sandman to come out and it's just I don't even know how to explain that, but I'm going to reach out to him in the next couple of days though to have a conversation with him, because it just tells me that even though he knows that I live with this chronic health condition and he has a close family member that equally lives with it, that he just doesn't know. And we know that when it comes to media, when things pop up along people's timelines, a lot of people are quick to abide by that. They think that almost like that's the law, that's the rule of thumb. When we are people who have been living with this a total of 42 years. Like, there's nothing that we haven't seen out there in this space. We could eliminate all the sugar in the world. Diabetes would still be there when we wake up, when we go to sleep, when we think. Like, it's not leaving until that cure is here. It will be. Yep. Speaking into existence. That's what we must do.
Yes.
Yeah. How has diabetes helped you in building community?
I would say, okay, so in August, I was a certified medical assistant for 4 years. I worked with an endocrinologist and a nurse practitioner diabetes educator. That was the first time I started that job 4 years ago. To be able to educate people living with diabetes and have people come in there that have to learn how to check their blood sugars, give themselves shots, it was showing me that I got my training at 12 to do that, and how it just came back full circle. That was where I first got my community, working at the doctor's office. But then when God gave me Pump for My Journey, that's what I'm doing now, building a community.
You're a master of diabetes.
Yeah, so it's like, I would have to say working at the doctor's office. And then, like I said, Pump for My Journey, I'm building my own community. Growing up, I didn't go to diabetes summer camp. I went to one support group one time, and I told my mom I would never go back. And literally, God has kept me from every other organization because he wanted me to create my own. I don't want to do something like somebody else doing. I want to do it the way God gave it to me.
Has diabetes in general affected relationships that you've had over the years?
I would say no. I've had the support, just letting people know, hey, I have diabetes. And like, are you good? Do you need some candy? Do you need some water? So it's like, I think as I became a little bit more comfortable with my diabetes, I was able to open up more, when relationships and even with friends, even with family. You people don't know how to take care of you unless you tell them how to do it.
Like we said, at 12 years old, and your mom calling out to God, and God telling her, like, you have diabetes.
Yes.
Like, everything about your story, it tells that you had the strength. Your family had the strength. God was there to guide you, protect you throughout the entire path and journey that you're on. like when you were brought into that hospital, they asked, why are you like, basically, how are you still here?
How did you even walk? I mean, literally, we pulled up at the little valet parking. They brought a wheelchair, and I walked into the hospital, sat in the hospital bed, talking to the doctor. And I remember that. And literally, that's part of my journey. My motto is I'm going back for that 12-year-old girl that's sitting in the hospital bed, and I'm putting a book in her hand. And literally, the first child God sent to me was a 12-year-old little girl in August. So literally everything that has been manifested, God spoke that to me years ago.
A lot of people don't even, like, they think they see diabetes and they're like, how is that a burden or how is that a hassle until they actually, or they're either the caregiver of someone living with it or that person living with it. That's the only way you can truly understand it.
Yeah.
Like even even medical professionals, unless you're managing someone with it or living with it, there's no way for you to truly understand it.
Yeah.
I was I had a consultation doctor's visit with a cardiologist. No, not sorry, chiropractor.
Yes.
I have had cardiologist visits as well, but with a chiropractor last weekend, and she told me because she was like talking about like my diabetes care and my management and different things, and she was like well, there if certain, because I was telling her about my cousin and stuff, she's like, well, if certain people, when they left the hospital, they took care of their diabetes, they wouldn't be going through this and that. It's like everyone doesn't go through retinopathy and neuropathy and things of that nature. I said, but she was 12 years old. And she was like, well, if she would have kept an eye on her carbohydrates, gave herself insulin when she needed it. I said, but she was 12 years old. And she's like, but that has nothing to do with it. Her age, she shouldn't have been able to handle this. I said, but she was 12 years old.
Yes.
She wasn't given, even if she was given the information, 12 years old, you're learning algebra. And that's a whole nother mess.
Yes.
Like, you want me to learn algebra on top of diabetes, man? Like, pick one. Look, I told my wife recently, I told her, I said, people don't, I said, I don't even know why I took math in school. And she was like, what do you mean? We were in the kitchen. I was measuring something. And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, why did I have to take math if God knew I was going to get diabetes? And she goes, because now you're able to count this and that. I said, yeah. I said, but why did I need the basics? Why did I need those things? Like, for real, the graphing and all that stuff and algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, those things. I said, serious. All this math I have to do daily on a regular, I shouldn't have had to go to school and do math at all. I said, there's nothing you could tell me that's going to change that. Look, when my kids come to me with math homework, look, I'm always like, it's always my 15-year-old or my 13-year-old, 7th grade math and 9th grade math. And I'm like, okay, we're going to sit down here. Like we're sitting down, we're doing all the math. And at the same time, I'm in my head thinking about my math. My daughter had this thing with math, like she was doing a whole lot of ratios this year. And I'm like, those ratios not right. Look, I had to bring that full circle because we didn't spoke about a lot through this journey. And I wanted to be able to leave here with some smiles on her face because Ariel, you have been a true gift, a true pleasure in being here on this podcast with me.
Thank you.
like I said, when I first knocked on your door for that cup of sugar back in October, you
Yeah.
were like, take all the sugar. Bolus for all of it. Right?
Yeah.
You forced me to bolus. I had to. There was no other option. Look, I wasn't trying to see my ketones go up, and it's been a true pleasure. And like I said, I thank you for joining me on the Chronically Will podcast. Is there anything before we leave that you need to speak into existence?
I would just tell anyone that's living with diabetes, let them know that we're going to conquer diabetes together. And regardless if it's not diabetes, it could be something else you're dealing with in life. We're going to conquer this journey together. It's not going to be easy, but I'm telling you and I'm instructing you just to have faith, keep moving, and don't let nothing, nor no one, nor yourself stop you.
Thank you. I appreciate you for joining me again on this journey, which is the Chronically Will podcast, where we hold real conversations with the community that need to be heard.